Hey everybody, it's Beth. Welcome to Infinite Garden. You've caught me on day 6 of my summer vacation. I'm up in northern Michigan on a beach week, and I've been doing a lot of paddle boarding, kayaking, floating in this beautiful, beautiful water here, and just generally enjoying some time off. The sun is directly shining on me. I'm covered in sunscreen. I'm using the Super Goop Glow Screen SPF 50 in case you would like to know. A couple of weeks ago on a community post, I said that if the channel reached 1,000 subscribers, I would post an Ask Me Anything video, and I invited people to ask some questions. I only received 2 questions, which actually were really good ones that I want to answer, and I am going to do that today. So I'll put the questions up on the screen. I have them paraphrased here in my notes, but I'll put actual screenshots of the comments that I received. Thank you so much to those of you who did ask a question. Okay, so the first question was, and I'm going to put my sunglasses on because it's a little too bright right now. Okay, first question was, how do I recharge when I'm feeling drained? This is a really great question, and I wanted to say that I'm not a guru, I'm not a lifestyle guru, I'm just a person who uploads videos to YouTube. That's all I am. I'm just a regular person who's living my life and sometimes puts videos up once a week on Sundays. Subscribe if you like. But I have developed some strategies for recharging. I have a very strong creative impulse. When I went to college, I was at first a theater major, and I went to school on a theater scholarship, and then I later transferred to being a creative writing major. So even though most of my career life I've worked in investment real estate, my impulse is still that I need to have a creative outlet, and that is actually recharging for me. So having time available in my schedule that I've now made sacred to be able to make videos for YouTube has actually been recharging for me. It's respecting my own personal time away from my demanding job, and it gives me a chance to think about what I want to say and do and make and put out in the world and share with others. That has been recharging for me on like a cellular level. I also find this specific vacation that I'm on right now, we take annually, and this is a major recharge point for me. I need a lot of time in nature, but I live in a big city. I live in Detroit, Michigan, which is a big, tough city, and I'm a person who could spend all of my days in a natural setting. So I find that when it's time for me to take time away from work and get out of town, my favorite thing to do is to come someplace that's very peaceful and natural, and I especially like to be by the water. This is a beautiful time of year to be in northern Michigan, and this trip always recharges me. We take a whole week and we spend a lot of time playing on the water and just generally soaking up the sun, looking at rocks, going to wine tastings, that type of thing. And so, I have to take this type of vacation. It's very different from like a European trip where you're traveling and you're on trains. This is a completely different pace. It's just slow and peaceful. And I find that if I have a trip like this once a year, at least in the summer, that can really set me up for success for the rest of the year. I just love it and kind of need it. I recharge through creativity and time spent in nature. But on some days, it's not realistic for me to be in nature considering where I live. And sometimes I don't have left over for creativity. So on those days, when I'm sort of in like emergency daily level recharge need, I love taking a long, hot saltwater bath. That's a really important part of my process. It's where I do my face masks and hair masks, and I'll sit in the tub and either listen to music or I'll watch YouTube videos as well, sometimes the people who I find relaxing and informative. The other thing I do is journal. Everybody has a different journaling process, and so I'm not saying that my journaling process is right for you. This is just what I do. I generally find that I don't have enough to say or enough to reflect on if I journal every single day. Maybe I should. Maybe that's a sign of a different problem for me. But for the most part, the way I journal and how long I want to sit down and write, I find it most helpful for me to do that about twice a month. Every other week or so, I'll sit down. I kind of know when it's time, and then I'll sit down and put some peaceful music on, light a candle, get in the mood, get comfortable, and then I'll sit down and I'll write in a journal like this. I usually like to write with a pen and paper, and I'll write 10, 12 pages, just really get it out. that's something for me that has been sustainable. I've been doing this for years and years now, and it's really nice to look back. I found when I pushed myself to try to journal every day and to make a meaningful journal entry every day, that I ran out of steam and didn't actually find that it was right for me. So this pace is what I have found works for me. I do all of these things. I realized when I was kind of putting together my answer to how do I recharge, it's like, wow, I have a lot of strategies for it. And I think part of the reason for that is that I am still living my lifestyle in a way that is slightly kind of past my energy level. My job can tend to be grueling and stressful, and the hours can tend to be long, very, very fast-paced. So I find myself often in need of recharging. There's some balance there that I could still strike. It's partly why I wanted to preface this comment by saying that I'm not at all a guru. I don't have it figured out. I'm just living my life as best I can and trying to stay as healthy as I can and protect my energy. At some point change will come, it always does, and I'll adjust then too. But for now I'm in kind of a high stress, high demand work life phase of my life. And so these recharge strategies are really essential just for basic survival. I find myself to be the type who will work really hard and I'll run myself into the ground, and I'm trying to do better. When I was younger, that was sort of my main strategy for life. Just go until you get sick. And I'm trying to be better now. I'm trying to take care of myself on a daily basis, and I'm trying to, as I give these years to my career, I try to also set something aside for myself that is creative, that I can look upon and feel like I made enough time for that part of my spirit as well. That's really important to me. I know not everybody has that impulse, but if you do have a creative impulse and you ignore it, I think it can lead to emotional deficits like depression or ennui, just a general sense of the blahs. I definitely can get myself into a case of the blahs, and I find that doing stuff like painting in watercolor, which I've done a little bit on this trip, or having this channel, or just even sometimes playing with makeup and making makeup looks, or playing with outfits and style, all of that creative expression for me helps keep me feeling emotionally healthy and balanced when the other parts of my life are pretty demanding. That was a long-winded answer to that question. That's question one. Another question was asking me how I stay fit, and I wanted to be really careful with how I answered this one. So when I read that question to my husband, he kind of laughed and he said, "Not a darn thing." And that's kind of true because he's better about going to the gym than I am. I actually don't really like going to the gym, and I don't work out as much as I should. If I'm being totally transparent, in my life I have a history of dealing a little bit with some dysmorphia. When I was younger, I was a cross-country runner and long-distance running, and I was in ballet as well, and so I always had a very trim, lean, muscular physique. And when I moved into my 20s and 30s, it became very important to me to try to maintain the same weight and shape that I had when I was a teenager in track, like running hurdles and high jump. So in my 20s, I worked out a lot, and I got into that mode of counting calories and being very aware of my weight and hyper aware of it. It didn't ever develop into anything that was too serious, but I could see in me forming a certain level of obsession and, hyperfixation on my weight and on my diet. And when I was about in my mid-30s, I did a triathlon. A girlfriend asked me if I wanted to do a triathlon, and we spent about 6 months with a personal trainer preparing for this sprint level triathlon. It's like a little mini one. And I think that is what turned the corner for me. It was too much exercise. It was too grueling. It was too much. So when I actually did my triathlon, I had a panic attack in the water. I don't know if any of you have ever done those kinds of races, but growing up, I've been a really strong swimmer. I'm very comfortable in the water. It's one of my strongest sports of the three that you do with a triathlon. But I didn't have my head in the game. I was anxious about the race. I didn't feel confident in my ability. And when I got in the water, I started swimming way too fast, and I lost my breath and I started hyperventilating in the water. And it wasn't a very long swim, and they had, lifeguards that were out there in paddle boards with us kind of paying attention. And I heard one of them say something like, "Oh, watch it here, we got a straggler," because I was like way off course with swimming in the wrong direction, excuse me. And anyway, I made it out of the water, and there's a picture of me exiting the water that like the race photographers take, and you can see me, I'm just like gasping as I'm coming out of the water. And the rest of my race, I finished the bike and the run, but it was really rough. I never recovered my energy. I never recovered my just sort of my faith in myself. And after that, I stopped doing sort of extreme races and that types of things. Since that time, I've done like a 10K and I've done a 5K, but that's it. Literally just those 2 races. Otherwise, like I'll go jog a little bit, or I'll go for a really long walk. I love to go for a hike for a couple of hours, but I don't go to the gym on a set schedule anymore. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. and like pounding out a high interval training session. Something broke in me with that race experience where I thought like, why am I pushing myself so hard to the point where I am putting my life at risk? What is it? And I realized that part of the reason that I was pushing myself through all of that was a lack of love for myself, a lack of acceptance for who I was at 35 at that time. I wasn't allowing myself to like settle into who I was and just enjoy my strong, healthy body without pushing it past its healthy point. So since then, I'll be 44 in a couple of weeks. So that's 9 years ago that I had that triathlon experience. Since then, I'm still strong and healthy, but I was starting with a really strong level of baseline fitness. And since then, I've really just kept up whatever I have with yoga and walking. And, sometimes, like I said, I'll go for a jog or a bike. I'm still quite strong and healthy, but I've given myself a lot of permission to do low impact, low intensity exercise. I walk my dog every day. I do like to go for walks with friends as a way to socialize, to go for a long 5-mile walk with a close friend and just really catch up. I love doing that. We've been out on the paddle boards and the kayaks all weekend, but we've also been doing a lot of like bobbing around and just floating versus like breaking speed records or whatever. And that's good. I could probably do more. I should probably focus a little bit more on, weightlifting. I know that that's something that helps with bone density and, balance. All of those things are important. I should probably do more yoga than I do. But I wanted just to lay that out there because I think a lot of folks, there's a lot of us have difficult relationships with our weight, our bodies, with our fitness level. And I've been there. I've really truly been there. And I am on the other side of it now, where I'm trying to find really what my body needs and trying to love my body for the health that it has and the strength that it has, and just trying to nurture and protect that versus pushing myself to places that injure it, Okay, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is diet. The main way that I've been able to regulate my weight up until this point in life has been primarily through having a healthy diet. I myself don't really do well with strict diets. I've never been able to follow one ever once, like not even for a day. there's something in me that won't do it. I have a rebellious streak and I don't like diets. Anyway, for the last couple of years, we started making smoothies in the morning. I want to talk about the smoothies, and I can make a separate video about the smoothies if you guys are interested in that. But I want to talk about my breakfast smoothie and how that's really the foundation of my healthy lifestyle. Okay, these smoothies. So a couple of years ago, we started making smoothies for breakfast, and our smoothies are vegetable and fruit. So I can talk specifically about the recipe at some point. And we also usually add some kind of protein powder, yogurt, and peanut butter. The recipe, again, I can share it with you, but we've been eating this smoothie for breakfast literally every day for years. And that may sound boring to some, but breakfast is the one meal for me personally where I really like to have a routine. I'm not a morning person. I kind of like to wake up and know that I have everything that I need and I know what I'm going to do. There's going to be coffee, there's going to be water with a lemon in it, and we're going to have a smoothie. And when breakfast is over, the day can begin. And from there on, lunch and dinner can be whatever. That's really where, like, if I get a hankering for something or I want to explore something, lunch and dinner will do it. But for breakfast, I want this pillar of a very healthy breakfast. And so that smoothie has done a lot for us. I think it makes sure, like, we put things in there like blueberries, and they say you're supposed to eat a lot of blueberries for the antioxidant properties. Well, we're eating a bunch of blueberries every single morning of the day, usually from like frozen, and we buy them frozen. It's a way to start the day. It's been a way to start the day with a very generous serving of fruits and vegetables. And, it's good because it's not like, we joke sometimes, it's like, oh, you can have this healthy breakfast and then, it's like pizza and garlic bread for the rest of the day. It's not true. What I've found is that when we eat this smoothie with like the protein pieces added, I'm usually good until well past lunch. Like, if we eat that at 7:30, by noon I might start to feel a little hungry, but by 2 I need lunch. So it really is sustaining for me. And then I find that when it's time to choose another meal to eat, I want to continue to eat healthful food. I'm drawn to like salmon and broccoli or something like that. But I do find that when we skip the smoothie and have something maybe more traditional for breakfast, that it throws my entire day off, and I can have like a really low value day in terms of my nutrition and the quality of my food. A couple of weeks ago, my husband had to go away to a conference, and I woke up and I had to, walk the dog and do all the things. And so I thought, like, oh, the smoothie takes a little bit of time. Maybe I'll just play it easy and have oatmeal and blueberries. And that was my plan. I still thought, like, it's a healthy breakfast. Nothing wrong with oatmeal and blueberries. But I found myself like really hungry by 10 a.m. And the entire rest of the day, I was craving kind of fatty, heavy, junky foods just to make up for the deficit that was in my system that's become so accustomed to having this like really delicious smoothie in the morning. So I have found for me that one like cornerstone of a routine of having that breakfast smoothie has been a meaningful change in my nutritional life, whereas before it was kind of chaos in the morning and then chaos all the rest of the day. So that's probably my number one thing that I could recommend if you are a breakfast person. A lot of people aren't, but there's something about the fruit and the veggies and the yogurt and all of those good things that my body seems to not go on a big glycemic crash. It seems to be sustained, like my hunger level, like my level of satiety, I think is what you call it, seems really even up until the point when it's time to have a meal. It's not like it just like falls off a cliff. So before, when I used to go into the office more and there'd be like donuts or something, if I had my smoothie in the morning, the donut meant nothing to me. But if I had left with just a cup of coffee and a glass of water into the wilds of the office life and there was a display of donuts available for me, I promise you I would be eating the donuts. Like I'm not that great at this thing. So I need to provide for myself in this way. And we actually, like, our entire grocery shopping plan is centered around smoothies. Like we're committed. That's all I can say. We are absolutely committed to the breakfast smoothie, even when we travel on vacation. Like we think about how we're going to get our smoothies in. Anyway, so those were my two big things. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I have loved having this YouTube channel and meeting you. I also think more folks as part of this community should consider starting a YouTube channel. So I'm going to be putting a video out before the end of the month, sort of talking through why I think that is, why I think it's good for the world, good for the collective spirit to have more folks like us contributing. So be on the lookout for that. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my vacation. We're going to go out today. We're going to go tour, do some wine tastings and drive around, do some shopping. Tomorrow I've got one more day out on the water again. I'll be out there tomorrow and then we have to go home on Sunday. So I hope everybody out there is doing well. I hope you all have a great week ahead. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing and being amazing and your sweet comments and all of those good things. And follow me on Instagram. I'm at infinitegarden_BethK. Sorry for my bizarre branding. I'm not necessarily a branding expert. That's what I came up with and now I'm living with it. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Talk soon.